Welcome to Big Little Stories. I'm Ivy Sharmetz. So, when life throws the unthinkable at you, how do you hold on to your joy? Well, my guest today has turned that question into a mission, a message, and a movement. Diane Young Unman, also known by her royal pen name Princess Diane von Braunschweig, I want to make sure I get that correct, is the author of Bonjour, Breast Cancer, I'm Still Smiling. After her own diagnosis, she made the choice to meet cancer not just with courage, but with humor, optimism, and a tiara. Diane, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Good morning. So I want to ask, I want to start with this because even before you created the pen name for the book, Princess Diane von Braunschweig, even before that, you had been teaching people how to be royally happy. So I want to start with that. What does it mean to be royally happy, and how did you come up with that?
Well, how did I come up with the name or the concept of
Both.
being royally?
Both.
Both? Okay. Well, I wanted to I wanted to help people thrive because I felt one of my raison d'etre was positivity. And I decided one day, I mean, I had been a lawyer for a really long time. And although law is very fulfilling, it didn't fulfill the creative aspect of me. And I remember I was out to lunch with someone and I started crying and I was saying, oh my God, if I'm not a lawyer, I don't know how to do anything else. I don't know what to do. And then I realized I had an epiphany. I know how to laugh. And I said, you know what? I could teach people to laugh. But then I thought, if I'm teaching people to laugh, they'll think I'm like wanting to be a comedian, and that's not what I want to do. And I thought, well, really what the corollary of that is positivity. So that's how I got into that. And the Princess Diane von Braunschweig thing came in. Well, the fun thing I like to say is that I was rummaging through my father's side of the closet, and I found a royal coat of arms, but I get the legs from my mother's side. But I thought princess things might be fun, but if I became too literal about it, people might think like, who does she think she is, you know? So I wanted to make it kind of fun. So I thought, my brain is fried. Okay, that's it. I'll be Princess Diane von Braunschweig.
That's so funny.
And that's all she wrote.
And I got to tell you, any opportunity to wear a tiara, I'm in. I
usually wear mine. I wasn't sure if it was pro forma today, but it's upstairs.
You're casual. It's casual Princess Day.
Princess Day.
So I want to talk now. All right. So you are in the world of teaching people to be positive and exuding this happiness. And I have to say, anyone that talks to you for more than like 4 seconds feels better about themselves after they talk to you. You definitely exude positivity and light and love and all these great things. So you're doing that thing, and then you get a breast cancer diagnosis, which is life-changing for anyone.
Right.
I want to talk a little bit about the story of you getting diagnosed because it sort of confirms the belief that there are signs in the universe, right? So take me through a little bit of what happened.
Well, I like to say it was just a typical la-di-da day, and I was going down to get a regular old breast cancer, mammogram, and I had very dense breasts, and apparently the protocol at the time, now this was a while ago, that you really should have the 3D breast cancer. And I'm no doctor, disclaimer, lawyer disclaimer here, but I didn't have a prescription for that. So I get down there and my tech looks at my prior films and she said, I see that you have these dense breasts and we'd like to put you on the 3D machine. And luckily, we have one open today. Somebody cancels, and all the synchronistic events kind of flowed from there. It ended up turning out that I needed to have biopsy, needed to have all these things. And then, it turns out that I was one of the lucky ones, which, by the way, there is some luck involved in terms of what good can come out of these traumatic things, and a lot of good can come out. So what looks like trauma has another side to it too, and that's a really big thing that I like to teach people because it's so true. We have to be careful what we label things. Oh, it's good or it's bad. But so many times things that look bad can have an unbelievable good side to it.
But is it hard to see that in the moment? I think sometimes
So
you need
hard
like a
to
little
see it
distance from it, right?
Absolutely. That's so true. So I had this wonderful French friend. Her name was Fanny. I talk about her all the time, talk about her in the book. She's no longer with us, but she was like my Sherpa. She was a brilliant, brilliant woman. And she survived, a French Jew who survived the Holocaust. And she used to tell me, and her mother used to say this too, Didi, everything is a plus. Everything is a plus. And you just have to kind of keep these things in your mind. So I had this kind of framework in my mind from beforehand. Everything is a plus. And then, so if you go through life with some of these things that you hold in your mind, it's easier to handle things because you can draw on them. You say, okay, everything's a plus. Now I got to find it. But you're absolutely right. In the moment, it's like a free fall. And that's also when you can call girlfriends, you read books, you have to rally the resources that you have. So I have, girlfriends that you can call to walk you off the ledge. My husband's really good about things. I have family members, and we're not alone.
Yeah,
we're not alone.
The book is amazing, and I was talking to you a little bit before we started here today. It's such a beautiful read, and there are moments that you feel like, oh wow, that must be so difficult. Then you kind of laugh out loud. I laughed out loud. And then there are moments that sort of stop you in your track, and you just pause. And one of the moments for me was when you wrote, "The thought of dying while I was still alive scared me more than the diagnosis of breast cancer." Can you talk to me about that? Because here you are, this woman who is dealing in positivity. You get this devastating diagnosis, and that fear becomes something that's very real. So talk to me about that. That's such a powerful sentiment.
It's interesting. Kudos to you for pulling that out. That is the line that my husband always tells me, bring that line out, bring that line out, bring that line out. It's interesting that of all the lines you focused in on, it's so true. What I really was thinking to myself, so I take a philosophy course with the School of Practical Philosophy, and they talk about nothing can withstand sustained thinking. I think one of the, Socrates or one of the Stoic philosophers said that. So I said to myself, how am I going to handle this? How do I handle this? How do I handle this? And I decided to use that tactic. I was going to throw sustained thinking at it. And I did that for a while. And just as you say, in the moment, it's really hard to find your way through these things, but it took a while. And then I thought, I had this epiphany, which was, if I let cancer steal my joy, then I've died while I'm still alive. And I did not want to die while I was still alive. And that kind of was that started the ball rolling in terms of my journey of how I handled everything, because I just didn't want to be dead man walking while I'm alive. So it was a wonderful fear, because it galvanized my how I dealt with everything. And the way that I did, it's funny, I tell people, everyone will tell you what to do, but nobody tells you how to do it. So what's the how? And one of the hows for me was realizing that nobody has any guarantees. And that was the thing. So, if nobody, the healthiest young person at the time that I was diagnosed, I think the Olympics were going on. And I was saying to myself, these Olympians, they're strong, they're young, but they don't have any guarantees either. That really helped me, because it helped me stay in the present moment, in the now. Everyone talks about the now, but it's not it's real. It's something important. It's not just a flitty little saying, Staying here and now, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So your fear about tomorrow, well, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And the past is in the past. So that business of realizing nobody has a guarantee, I calmed down about everything, because I was looking for a guarantee. I want a guarantee that I'm going to be safe. I want a guarantee, and that's going to make me feel okay. Well, guess what? No one has one. So
You mentioned sustained thinking. What is that?
Thinking about something, not ruminating on something, but just kind of letting gently the issue. Maybe it's even like a prayer, really, if you think about it. It could be like praying for the answers to yourself, to what you're going through. Actually, I was talking to a girlfriend who's going through something very difficult now just yesterday, and we came to the conclusion, pray on it, pray on it, because for me, it was just thinking on it, but it's also like praying, to listen for the answers that we have inside of us.
Yeah.
We're very powerful people, each one of us. We're powerful beings. There's a lot of miracles going on inside of us, so we could listen to ourselves.
One of the other things that you mentioned in the book is the positive psychology principles. What and that was something you were doing again before the cancer diagnosis,
right?
So talk to me. What are the positive psychology principles? What does that mean?
Well, positive psychology was kind of a new way of looking at psychology, and beforehand, the stress was what's going wrong and how can we fix it. And when positive psychology came along, and I believe Martin Seligman from the University of Pennsylvania was kind of the father, was considered the father of positive psychology. And I'm a certified positive psychology life coach. I'm not a psychologist or medical person in any way.
Right.
But my understanding of what it is they started looking at what is going right in your life, which is really powerful, and finding what's going right and building on that.
Right.
So that's so there are a lot of principles, a lot of tactics, I guess. And one of the biggest ones that I love is reframing. Reframing how you look at things is very, very powerful. So, again, it's the idea what's bad about something, but what's good about something.
Is it always possible to find the good in something?
You can find the good in something, even if it's, I know what you're saying, because it's interesting. If you go to the logical conclusion, if something is so disastrous going on, can you really find it? Well, I guess the idea is, what's your choice? If you don't find it, you're going to collapse and die. So trying to find something, you can always learn from something. So that could be considered something positive. And you can always find your resilience. So some of what I learned as some of the positive aspects of breast cancer was really understanding your resilience, and the resilience can apply to a lot of other things that may be going on in your life or will go in the future. So for example, I'm kind of sometimes scared, will it recur? Right? But I'm not going to let myself sink from that. Well, guess what I've learned is that I have a lot of resilience. So I just say to myself, you know what, I'm just going to apply my resilience and I'll just do it again, that kind of thing. So learning our resilience, and I think resilience is just learning that if you hang on long enough, you hang on.
So you're jumping ahead, but one of the other lines that I pulled out from the book, which I thought was, talk about stopping you in your tracks. Here's the truth of it. Optimism is a natural outgrowth of resilience, and resilience is merely hanging in there long enough to realize you can hang in there.
Wow, you pull out the good ones.
I mean, because when you think about that, it's like, wow, like that's so true. Like sometimes you are so focused on convincing yourself you couldn't get through it, you don't realize you're getting through it.
I know. And it's really important. I don't want viewers to think I'm happy all the time, or I can deal with everything all the time. I think what it is, and what everyone can learn, is the direction to go in. And perhaps for me, because I practice this a lot, maybe or maybe not, but maybe I can recalibrate a little more quickly than someone else can, because I know the direction. I have been through it. I really have the desire to, not stay in the bad places. But that it's just a matter of right now. Here's the other thing. I would imagine, again, I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist, there may be cases where people have, maybe it's chemical, or there may be real reasons for a real depression that you need medical help for. I am not able to, figure that out or know that. So understand that there might be situations that it would be really wise to try to get some help. But barring that, there are techniques that we can do to really help ourselves. So that's and one other point I wanted to bring out that's really important, and I learned this when I was 15. I had an
Mm.
epiphany that happiness and positivity, again, barring other issues, and those issues can be transient. You can be a happy person, a positive person, and there's periods in your life. So, this is all a continuum. Um, but in general, happiness and positivity is a decision. That's
Mm.
like, that springs from everything. If you're not making the decision to be happy, you need to make that decision. And then
Wow.
from there, it's really an important threshold.
I want to talk a little bit. We're going to take a very quick break. I want to talk a little bit more when we come back about some of the lessons you've learned, how you're sharing them with others, and I just want more princess time, actually. So we're going to take a very quick break. We come back. We'll be back in just a bit. Diane, what made you decide to write the book? You are going through this. You have all of these wonderful stories and lessons that you're taking away. At what point did you decide this is something that I want to share with everybody?
That's a really good question. Um, so, as I was going through everything, my brother had told me, you love to write. Why don't you write a book about it? And my first reaction was, okay, all my positivity understanding leads me to believe I don't want to focus on what's bad, right? I want to focus on what's good. So I thought I'd rather write about hemorrhoids than write about breast cancer not happening. And then so I had no intention of writing a book. But what started happening was I was having these little epiphanies along the way. I was using this sustained thinking, and I was having issues. And there we go. It's another little buzzword. I try not to say problems. I try to say challenges. That's another
Yep.
reframing idea
Mm-hmm.
that, is positive psychology.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to, I decided to, think about what are some things that are getting me through. How can I look at this a different way? I'm bald, I'm upset, how do I look at it? And my brother used to say, well, it's very fashionable in Paris. Or I look better with my wig, that kind of thing. No frizz days. Well, so what was happening was I was finding these epiphanies, and I'd write them down because I wanted to remember them myself, because
Mm-hmm.
they were helping me. And then after a while, I had accumulated a lot, and then I realized, what, this is, I have to share this with people because this is helping me so much. I'm being selfish if I don't write about this. And that's how it became a book.
So, unfortunately, there's a good chance that someone who's watching this or listening to this is either dealing with a diagnosis or is dealing with a loved one who just received a diagnosis. What would you tell them? What's like right out of the gate? What would you want them to know?
I would want them to know to try not to let fear rule them. There are so many ways to try to deal with your fear,
Mm.
and understand that in this day and age, there are first of all, every single day they come up with new, ways to handle breast cancer every single day.
Yeah.
So the doctors have such good medicine these days. And I would also say that one of the most powerful, first of all, this can be life-changing to you in an unbelievable way. Life-changing because you can end up seeing life in such a different way that it becomes like stepping, how the Wizard of Oz, it's black and white, and then the house falls
Yes.
down and she opens up, she steps into color. It actually can end up being like that, because you could start learning. You may have been like this before. I don't want to presume that you're not, but if you weren't, for me, I know I started living much more in the now,
Mm.
much more clearly. I started, that wonderful sip of coffee in the morning. It's intensely wonderful. And I have to work on it too, because sometimes as you get better and better, you forget. It's like, oh,
Right.
life, la da da. Like, wait a minute. I remembered that I learned that life is so big, and even in the little moments. So you get the color vision, because your life can be even bigger in the other moments. And here's another thing that's really, really big. You can There's a lot of meaning. So Viktor Frankl wrote Man's Search for Meaning. I think that's one of the big works that everyone cites about meaning. And this was a psychiatrist, I believe he was from Germany, and he survived the concentration camps. He also helped other people. And he would say, if the prisoners who could find meaning in this terrible, terrible situation were the ones that had a chance of survival. Obviously, some people just go left, go right, and you're dead.
Right.
But if you had the ability, if they weren't killing you, right, and so it was just up to survival, I remember him saying something like the butchers that would come in and they looked, hefty and strong, but if they didn't have that inner life and some sort of meaning, they might be a lot more vulnerable. So the point is, the meaning that you can make from this is huge. And so find the meaning for you. I found, and because it's very I don't know what the word buoying, buoying you up.
Yeah.
I found meaning in not only, living a richer life in the moment, but for sharing with my friends and my family that trauma could strike and you didn't have to fall apart, or trauma could strike and you could find the pluses in it. That's very meaningful for me. So take heart that whatever you're going through, you can find meaning, and it's very helpful.
This book is incredibly powerful. It's a wonderful read, and I'm going to say it's an easy read, but I mean that in the best way possible, because when you read this book, especially after speaking to you, it feels like a conversation with you, and you kind of just sucks you in, and you just want to keep doing it. So it's Bonjour Breast Cancer. I'm Still Smiling. Diane, how do people get in touch with you or find out more?
Well, the book you can buy on my website. It's under Princess Diane von Branisfried, the name, because I thought that was fun. My real name's Diane Unman. And I have a website, princessdianevonb.com, and a blog, which has periodically I put out newsletters for positivity. And so you're welcome to subscribe to that if you'd like. But that's
amazing.
How you can get in touch with
me. It's amazing. Diane, we end each show with something we call 3 big little questions. Are you ready for them? We'll do them rapid fire.
Okay.
All right. So the first one is, I would love to hear your answer to this. How do you get yourself out of a bad mood?
You do something for someone else.
I do the same thing. I do the same thing. Yeah. Yeah. I go through a drive-through. Yeah.
Oh, good for you. Mm-hmm. It's a known positive psychology technique. Do you know that even if you see someone do something good for somebody else, it can help
you? Energy is that strong. Yes. Oh, I love that. I love that. Okay. What's your go-to karaoke song?
Whatever. I can't even say it. Opera.
Opera. Oh, that's right. We didn't even talk about the fact that you are an opera singer. Okay. And what's your favorite spot in New Jersey? You have a favorite place or a favorite place you like to go to?
My kitchen.
Oh, good.
I know
okay.
That sounds funny. My kitchen. Coffee in the morning in my kitchen.
I'm inviting myself over to your favorite spot.
You can come.
Diane, thank you so much. This is amazing. From the first time we chatted, I just knew you're such a light, such a positive force, and I feel better just having spoken with you. So thank you so much.
Well, it takes one to know one. I got to tell you that.
I appreciate that so much. Thank you. I'll talk to you very soon, my friend.
I would love that. Thank you.
Thank you. And that'll do it for today's Big Little Stories. Be sure to check us out on Instagram at Big Little Story Show. I'm Ivy Sharmetz. I'll talk to you next time.